In basic CSS, there are three ways to select elements for styling: by element, by ID, and by class. When we want to apply style rules to an element, we need a way to tell the CSS engine how to select the element for styling. Let's open up our index.html and our style.css and start learning how to select elements for styling. What we have here in style.css are element selectors. If we want to style all instances of a particular element, say paragraph tags, we can do that by calling out the p tag directly, or the h1 tag, like so. The element selectors here determine the color for all matching elements, so all h1 tags will be green, and all p tags will be red. As you can see on the right, this is the case. We could also do the same with the body tag if we want. Let's set the background color to gray and see how it looks when we save and refresh. Oh, that's a little bit ugly. Let's try light gray. That's better. We can also style a series of divs if we want. We can apply the same style rules to all of them. Let's try setting their background to gray and give it a margin of 10 pixels top and bottom and see how it looks. Great, but what if we're trying to target something like a div and we don't want every div to get the same style rules? Well, if we have a div with an ID, we can reference that by typing out the hashtag and then the ID name to apply styling to just that element. We can give this one an ID of 1. Or actually, since it's the second element, let's call it 2. Now let's jump over and give it some style rules. Again, to reference the ID, we use hashtag and then the name of the ID. This will apply styling to just that element. Let's give it a background of cyan to see how that looks. And let's save and refresh. All right. Again, that style will only apply to the ID of 2. Since an ID can only exist once per page, if you want to style each element by ID, then you'll have to specify the ID of each individual element. Now, what if we want to apply styling to more than one element, but not all of them? For that, we'd use a class. Let's create the styling we have here with some classes. Let's create a class called gray-bg to apply a gray background to our divs. And then let's go over and create the class. And to create a class, you use period and then the name of the class afterwards. All right, let's type in light gray here and see how that looks. Well, that doesn't show up, so let's try just gray. All right, cool. So now let's create another class. And we'll call it white text. And we'll set the color of the text to white. And we'll apply it to only 2 divs. Let's save that and see how it looks. All right, that looks great. Classes are super helpful for sharing styling across multiple elements and for applying behavior selectively. If you think of something like a button that will have a base button style, you could have a class called button, and then have another class called button arrow that applies an arrow after the text and gives the button rounded corners. Really, the possibilities are endless, but this just gives you an idea of the power of using classes to style your elements. There are, of course, more advanced selectors we'll go into in another video, but they are completely optional. You could use the 3 selectors in this video to design whole layouts, and in most cases, people do.